Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. There's a lot of insane things going on in the world right now. As we speak, Iran is launching a barrage of missiles towards Israel. You also have port strikers that have gone on strike now that can cause up to a multi-billion-dollar disruption in the inflow and outflow of our economy. And on top of that, the vice presidential debates are occurring right now during the recording of this video. A lot of volatility could be expected in the markets starting right at market open. We're seeing a little bit of trading in the after hours. We saw the market that closed in the red today. We're going to be giving you guys all the updates that you need. Importantly, what could be happening. We're going to be updating, of course, Palantir stock. You also have a big stock tumbling right now, Nike, after they don't have the best earnings. And the CEO transition on top of a statement that basically withdrew guidance saying, hey, things are not coming around the corner as they were expected. We have a lot to review. If you're a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and of course, as you know, not a financial advisor, collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now pop it up right here. Iran launching a barrage of missiles, like I said, at Israel right now. This is what's occurring in the world. One of the big questions is, what are the tensions going to be like in terms of the conflicts that are already happening in these areas? And specifically, what's occurring right now is about 200 ballistic missiles were fired at Israel in an escalation that the tensions and conflicts are increasing in the Middle East after we know that Israel had conducted its operation on the leader of the Iran-backed Hezbollah, if I'm saying that correct right here, sending those troops to Lebanon. Now, Israel's military signaled that it would retaliate, though it did not provide details on how or when it's going to be responded. We do know that the attack right now as we speak appears to be over. A lot of the actual ballistic missiles were intercepted with that Iron Dome, and there were impacts in the central and southern regions. How that retaliation is going to happen and what the severity of that is going to be, that's only going to come with time. However, this is going to be very interesting in terms of how this affects our markets on top of the union president that outlines the wage and automation demands right here, talking about the port strikes. Listen to this real quick.
They had the capital to settle this thing.
Are you worried that this strike is going to hurt the everyday American, the farmers that need to reach the export market? They're telling me that they're going to hurt through all
Now you
of
start
this.
to realize who the longshoremen are, right?
Nobody cares.
People never gave a about us until now, when they finally realized that the chain is being broke now. Cars won't come in. Food won't come in. Clothing won't come in. You know how many people depend on our jobs? Half the world. And it's time for them and time for Washington to put so much pressure on them to take care of us, because we took care of them. And we're here 135 years and brought them where they are today, and they don't want to share.
So you can see, obviously, very upset. And specifically, what the port disruption can cause. And what we're seeing right here, this is beginning on the east in the Gulf Coast, threatening to halt the flow of half of the U.S. ocean's shipping. And like I mentioned this in the beginning, the disruption from a large-scale stoppage like this, and especially if this continues to increase in severity, this could cost the economy billions of dollars each day, stoking inflation and putting jobs at risk. Really trying to affect putting a big wrench in what the whole Fed is trying to do right now in terms of trying to cool the market. Now, in terms of a market update, before we get into Nike specifically, we do have those stocks in the broader market here. You got the Dow Jones, S&P 500, NASDAQ down about 1%. Not horribly. We'll see what happens tomorrow. This is kind of after Iran had fired and launched their attack on Israel. One thing that we are seeing is crude oil prices. Those increased about 2 to 3% for West Texas Intermediate right here. And on top of that, we have new jobs and manufacturing data that has kicked off a new quarters, looking for further clues on what the Fed's going to do in terms of easing this cycle. And that means coming with interest rate cuts. We talked about in yesterday's video that basically Powell came out and said that they're going to do what they need to do in order to stay on par with their goal, and that is to hit the 2% target for cooling inflation. What that correlates to is 2 more interest rate cuts for the rest of the year. They kind of mentioned at 25 basis point cuts each. Don't expect anything else. So the fact that we kind of have that narrative that's already been put out there into the limelight and for the public to absorb, the markets are pricing that in right now. I think the markets will continue to operate in terms of what the Fed's trying to do. However, where the volatility is going to be coming in, of course, is what's happening with Iran right now, what's going to be happening with the port strikes, and if we see any continuation of the severity of these conflicts that are occurring. Now, U.S. manufacturing held steady in September. Not too bad right here, but the data sets investors for Friday, September's job report right here. This is going to be a week of closely watched economic data, looking for confirmation that we're actually seeing cooling across rather than crumbling. I think since the Fed is aiming for that soft landing, if we see any big signs of, hey, this is more of a hard landing, that's where we're going to see a little bit of a correction into the market, more selling pressure on top of the catalyst and the variables that we've already mentioned. Now, in the after hours right here, you got the VU. This is a ETF that tracks the S&P 500, down only about actually 50 cents right now. Not a ton of trading that is occurring. One specifically thing I want to talk about here, Nike tumbling down $5 at 84.57 right now. Now, specifically where Nike actually had closed was at $89. And right now, sitting at about $83. That's what we're seeing in terms of the after hours. A little bit of a pullback right here in the overnight at 84. What happened with them is they tumbled as the company withdraws guidance and the CEO change. Now, it sank about 5% after hours right here after the first quarter earnings reported right here of earnings per share of 70 cents. That was higher than the Wall Street estimates. However, meanwhile, the actual revenue is what fell short of the analyst estimates. And also you have the CEO talking about here that a comeback at this scale takes time and that there are some early wins. We have yet to turn the corner. Nike CFO Matthew Friend here said that the company's earning calls Tuesday night. So they're saying that, hey, this is going to take time to see a rebound at this scale and yet to turn that corner and to make leadway. What we're seeing here, Morningstar, they basically say this is pretty much what the people expected. Nike really began warning since late of December of last year. However, I think a lot of that actual warning is actually coming to fruition right now. We've already seen the slump of Nike coming down about 25%, falling more than 25% prior to the CEO change-up announcement on September 19th, amidst of those concerns of different types of sales growth and pressure from different competitors in the space, like OnClouds, we know they're doing really well, and Deckers. Palantir, where does Palantir fall into the mix of this? Well, what we've seen for trading today, and we talk about Palantir on pretty much on a daily basis, down about 2%, sitting at 36, 33 right now, still holding at these high 30s. We've talked about the support level that we've seen right here at the 36. I think this is definitely going to be tested because I am estimating that we're going to see a red day tomorrow in the markets in reaction to all the conflicts that we've talked about throughout the video here. However, talking about Palantir, one thing that was actually interesting, specifically this article, a Zacks research article, talking about Palantir is up over 117% year to date. Is the opportunity gone or still within reach? And looking at all the different types, we're not going to read through all this right here, but talking about the strong balance sheet, we know they have a really good balance sheet. S&P 500 inclusion, we saw that 14 and 15% gain with the inclusion effect. And the top and line and bottom line prospects are remaining robust, and that especially here with the earnings per share revisions. We have 11 bullish in the last 90 days. We've talked about this before, but they are still ranking Palantir a buy, actually. This was a little surprising to me because a lot of people are starting to criticize Palantir right now as being too expensive compared to a lot of the other software companies at its like tiers that are also being involved with AI. Now, this is not me being bearish on Palantir. I'm just talking about its current valuation. Is that catching up with the big criticism right now, and especially on top of the insiders that are selling? Palantir is still a great company, and I think they have great leadership. Bullish on Alex Karp, doing a wonderful job leading the actual company. But in terms of what the actual price is right now, compared to what's actually coming in versus income-wise. So What do you guys think about what's happening with the global conflicts right now? Do you think we're going to see a large correction in the market due to this, with the port strikes also coupled on top of that? What's your opinion on Nike? And of course, what's your opinion on Palantir? Peace out. Take care. I'll catch you guys later. And stay safe out there. Crazy times right now that we are definitely living through.